I went in for a routine hysterectomy, and it was during or after the hysterectomy that I actually experienced my death. I was out of recovery and in my private room when I awoke at about 9:30 in the evening. I didn't feel any pain. It was just this feeling as though every last drop of blood had drained from my body. And I tried to reach for the nurse, but I was too weak to reach the little buzzer that they had placed by the side of my bed. I then felt this sensation coming up from my feet, a numbing type thing. And then all of a sudden, I felt a movement in my chest. And then there was a sound like a pop. My spirit came up out of my body in a very tremendous speed, and I could look down and see my body laying on the bed. Then I knew that I had died, and I thought, oh my God, I'm dead. I don't know how I died, but I'm dead. Then suddenly appearing by the side of my bed were three ancient-looking men, ancient in that they were old, but they were beyond old. And they explained to me that I had prematurely died. I wanted so much to see my family, so I went out the window and I traveled to my home. My husband was sitting in a chair reading a newspaper. So I went over and stood by him. I felt concerned that he didn't know I had died, and neither did my children, and I worried about them. I worried how their life would be should I not be there for them. And as I wondered about that, I could see each child. I just saw each phase of their life, and that their lives would be fine even without me. So I felt content, as any mother would, that you know what, they're going to be okay. Then I went back, traveled quickly back to the hospital bed, and was drawn into this immense tunnel. There was sound, there was music, there were chimes. It was extremely relaxing, very comfortable. And I went through the tunnel, into the tunnel, and traveled into this black space. Then suddenly I saw a form at the very end of the light. And as I approached the light, I could see the figure moving with arms spread out like this, and he was Jesus Christ. And I reached for him and put my arms around him as he held me too. And he said, "It's not yet your time. It's not yet your time." Some angels or guardians or guards or supporters of him and me came. There were three women, and he said, "Show her everything that she needs to know." Then they took me to a garden, and they said for me to be there, to stay here, enjoy yourself. I went through the garden and walked, and it was beautiful beyond any description. You just simply can't even imagine the colors and the beauty, the flowers of every kind and other kinds that we don't even have here. This is when I learned that I wouldn't remember a great deal of what was going on. I called these men warring angels, in that they came into the garden and they said, "Are you ready for more?" And I says, "Yes, I am." And they took me, and it was like a freedom of flight. It's like we just rose up into the air and we just went. We traveled from planet to planet. And then Jesus said that I needed to return back to earth. And I says, "Oh, please, I can't go." Excuse me. I didn't want to leave the love that I felt there, the total acceptance. I saw a beautiful man that I recognized to be the Father, God. And I ran to him and fell at his feet, my head on his lap. And he said, "You have a mission, and I want you to see what that mission entails. Then you must go back." I remember traveling quickly. The next thing I knew, I saw my body. I went into the body not because I wanted to, but because I was compelled to. And I felt the dark dankness of it. The human body compared to the spirit body is so, so different. I started doing service because service is our best gift to God. When we're helping other people, it is to be of service to them. So I went to the hospital here in Seattle and volunteered at the Cancer Research Center, where I could work with the dying patients as well as their families. So I did that for several years. I began going to various church organizations to speak, to share. I want to go back, and I had Jesus promise me that he will return me to where I left when I had to leave him.
Following a near-death experience, as you can imagine, it's generally very life-transformative. People that have a near-death experience, of course, almost uniformly don't fear death. From their perspective, they know what lies beyond death's door, and they know that it's wonderful. Of course, they have an increased belief in afterlife for exactly the same reason, but their values also change. They tend to become less materialistic, more loving. They may change professions, or they may change relationships.